So hopefully you can hear me all right, Chris. This is my board game submission. It's called Some Assembly Required. Basically, it looks more complicated than what it is. You each play as a 1 to 4 players play as a robot that's been disassembled and cast aside, harvested of its useful parts. It's in a junkyard in the near future, and you have to reassemble yourself and escape with a full body, full humanoid body. So there are antagonists. There's attack dogs that go as the player goes. There's also a giant magnet called El Magneto that comes into play and dictates, basically blocks off chunks of the board that can't be used. You can lose parts throughout the process, and you have to go and research for those parts. So as far as play is concerned, right now I have the board set up in the starting position. All the green spots show searchable tiles. There's 4 player spots here, dictated by the yellow places, so 1 on each corner. There's dog places as well too. You can see with a dog, and there's search tiles under the starting of each as well too. So after a tile is searched, these get flipped over. Then you can't just keep bouncing back and forth, searching the same spot over and over again. And not until every place on the board is completely searched do you flip them all over again and continue on until some player lands on here with all of their parts. I'll show you how it goes. I'll play for each player once, and then I'll give you a good idea, good indication. So I'll go with yellow first. So you always start at the beginning of the game with 4 dash tokens and 4 leap tokens. I'm just going to grab a chunk here, and 2 burrow tokens. Those you use to move your player. But on top of that, you can always walk, which is dictated by the white path. So you can always walk if you didn't have any movement tokens. But if you were on a place like this, you could cash in a burrow token and take the red path, which is the most beneficial path, obviously, or the most rare path to use because it can take you over huge swaths of the board. So I will go first. You get 2 movements and a free search if you're on a tile with a searchable token. So first off, we'll search this. I'm playing yellow. I draw from the search deck, and it says, what's it say here? You find nothing but Robodog. Here's your rummaging. Roll and move all of the Robodogs. So I have a colored die here. Basically, green, if they're on if there's a green path available, they have to take it. Red path and blue path. Blue represents leap, and green is dash, and red is burrow, just like your movements as well too. Any of the non-colored is just considered a walk. So we'll roll for the Robodog. So you always control 1 dog. So I'm being yellow, so I would control the yellow dog. But because I drew a card dictating that they all go, I have to roll for each one of them. So I rolled a red for the yellow. So the yellow goes first. So he has to follow a path. The dogs always move. They're neutral. They move towards the closest person, the closest robot. So a red path, they are going to take whatever path it takes to get the closest. So he is going to go to this one because green's the closest over there. I'll roll for the other dog, and that's a 1 move. So he's gonna move 1 closest, which would be right there. And oops, wrong dice. That was a blue. So if there's no path, then it's an automatic walk. So you can see there's no blue path coming for the blue dog. So he's just gonna move 1 in the direction closest to a robot, which will go there. And then there's a green dog. And the green dog rolled a walk as well too. So he's going to come there. Okay, so that was my search. I didn't find anything. It just dictated that the dogs moved. So I'll set that aside, maybe. And I get 2 movements. So I'm going to go here once and here twice. Basically, you're just trying to get to the next closest search token while avoiding dogs. So actually, I'm going to go here just to show you. And I'm going to cash in 1 of my leap tokens. Put that back in the pile. And I'm going to take the leap to get over this junkyard and get closer to that one up there while avoiding, these dogs over here. So that is my turn, other than now I go for the yellow dog because I'm controlling him. Again, they're neutral, so I couldn't send him away from me and going after one of the other robots because they'd, naturally go towards wherever, the closest person is. So I'll roll for him, and I got a green. Because there's no green movement option available, he's going to just walk closest to the green guy up there. So now we'll go for the red. Actually, we'll go for the blue Spider-Man. So for the blue character, we're going to say we'll have another pile of burrow, leaps, and dashes to use. Again, that's a limited supply. There are searchable cards that give you more move tiles. So we'll use one of our leaps to get right here. Actually, we'll search this because that's a free search. So we'll draw a card for the search. And it says, El Magneto smells tacos from a nearby food truck. Remove El Magneto from the scrapyard. Well, he's not on play, so that's redundant. You find a few drops of diesel, take a second movement. Well, you have two, and then you get a third one because of that card, so we actually have 3 movements. So I'm going to use a leap to go here. I get to search that for free again. And we'll draw another search card, which says you find a new body part. So that's good. We're going to draw from the body part pile, and we find a head. Now, I forgot to mention that every character starts with a torso that you always have with you, but you all start with a head. So technically, that character would have had 2 heads now, if I can just find another head from the body part pile. So, because you can lose body parts, it's good to have actual multiple heads, and they're all different, as you can see, Babyface Company and Tuscan Raider Wholesale. So you can lose them along the way, so it's good to have backups. So anyway, I was right here. So that was only 1 move. I still have 2 moves, if you remember. So I'm going to use a leap to get up here. So that spent a leap, and I get 1 more movement. And I'm actually going to go here. So this character's had a good move. He's got 3 searches altogether. So he's going to search again. And this one says, you find a body part to draw from the body part pile. You found a shovel, just a regular shovel. Draw a burrow move tile. So we got an extra burrow. Thank you very much. And you get another body part, which is an arm. Lester's robot parts. So now that character has 2 heads and 1 arm. Again, you need 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 head before you can escape. So that character's blue. He rolls for the blue dog. So he's going to roll the colored die for the blue dog. And it's a green. There's actually no green movements available for that dog, as you can see. So he's going to move closest to this character, which is there. Okay, I'll go for the red character up there in the corner now. So his movement is going to be, well, actually we search first. There are quite a few stacks of cards here. A lot of them are negative too. You find nothing, or dogs move, or the magnet moves. So I know it seems like I have a lot of body parts, but once the magnet comes into play and the dogs get closer, it can be, kind of hairy. I played this earlier with my father, and, we did not get close to, I got attacked by quite a few dogs, and it was hairy. You find a bag of thingamabobs. Choose any 2 movement tiles. Well, burrows being the least common, so I'm going to grab a burrow, and I'll take a leap as well, too. Again, I'm just kind of pooling all these into one, but normally you'd only have, a handful of them. So now he's going to actually go. I'm going to move here and do another search. So this one says you find a new body part, and you find a few drops of diesel. Take another movement. So a new body part for this character. So he's getting an arm, and it is Alcoholics Accessories. You get an arm. And on top of that, 1 more movement from that search tile. So he's going to use a leap to circumnavigate that chunk of scavenge yard. And that's 3 movements for him. And he rolls for his red dog. So again, color die. Rolls a red, and the dog is right there. There is no burrow on his tile, so he's got to walk, which is going to be closest to that character. So he's going to end up there. And now we'll go for green up there. Green is going to search the tile he starts on. I put out a search tile on at the beginning of each one, just to have some involvement right off the bat. And this one says, you find a new body part, and you find a few drops of diesel. Obviously, these cards need to be shuffled a little bit more, but you get the idea. Slender Sex Company, and those are legs. So he's got a set of legs. So now I get 3 movements basically because I found that diesel. So he's going to go 1 and 2, and he's going to spend a leap to get there and search that. Okay, so that one, hopefully it's something a little different. You find a bag of thingamabobs. Choose any 2 tiles. So we're going to choose a leap and a dash. And instead of continuing, so again, the green would go, if a dog lands on you, the dog gets put back into any of the dog starting locations. So let's say that this landed on this Spider-Man. You could put him in any of the starting tiles, free tiles for the dog, but you'd sacrifice, one of your body parts. It's up to the person who's controlling the dog which body part goes back to the pile. So obviously, if I was controlling it and I wasn't green, I'd take their arm and leave them with 2 heads. But if green was controlling it, the dog would still attack them because they are neutral. But he could put one of his heads back, which are obviously superfluous in this game. What else? Let's see, the magnet comes into play. Some of these court cards here. Let me just see here. Find nothing at all. Find a body part. You see El Magneto Shadow Shift, roll, and move Magneto into play. So basically, Magneto comes in. You'd roll the regular dice that's not painted. And there's numbers associated with each of these big blue circles. So I rolled a 2. So that is this location right here. So that cuts off that entire swath of play, swath of board. If you're caught in it, so if you stopped in one of the blue areas, like this guy is here and it landed on him, you'd go back to any starting location of your choice, but you'd lose all of your body parts. And you can't travel through that area of play. The only place where you could, and this is dictated in the instruction booklet, is if the burrow path travels underneath. Then you can go underneath of them, obviously. On top of that, he stays on the board for a good chunk of time. There are cards that remove him, like the taco truck, he gets pulled off. If you roll a 6, because there's only 5 spots for the magnet, if you roll a 6 and he's on the board already, then he comes off. But if you roll a 6 and he's not on the board, you get to put him wherever you want. So in essence, basically, you're harvesting everyone else's parts, and anyone in that spot gets back to 0. You can trade parts because, there's no use to have 3 heads or 5 arms. If you're adjacent to another player, you are allowed to propose a trade to that player. But keeping in mind, you don't want them to have all the parts they need. So if they only need 1 more part to continue, and you're only getting 2 legs out of it, 1 leg to finish your set off, then obviously you might not want to trade. You'd want to do it if it was more even. Again, all these tiles don't get switched over. All these searchable tiles don't get switched over until they're all red. And I'm trying to think if I forgot anything else. There's a lot of situations where you get more move tiles, some more extra movements, shovels. There's a lot of negative ones again in here. But basically that's it. It's a lot of fun from what I've played so far. A little bit of balancing that I might tweak is the amount of paths on the board. I found with the dogs, you'd roll a color for them, say like a red, but unless they were on a red spot like this little dog is, they'd end up just taking a 1 walk movement. I tried giving them more moves per turn to balance with your 2 moves, but then it was almost too hard. So I think the key, full and final tweak would be to add a couple more paths on the board. More paths, like little paths in between, or double paths. So this one has a dash here, but also have that tile have a leap here as well too, and maybe another burrow. So it's just a little bit more options, because you want to use these up. When I was playing it, play testing it, I found that I ran out of these tiles pretty quick, but I end up adding more searches to the board as well too. So then you ended up with more move tiles. So with a little bit more tweaking, I think it definitely has some potential. It's a lot of fun. I think adding some whimsy into it. Some of these body parts are are kind of humorous, and they're all different. So there's, you know, tentacle Pete's, inflatable arms, accessories. There's different treads. So you can end up with kind of a, you know, kind of a neat little robot by the end of it. Obviously the cards are too small too, but yeah, you get the idea. Hopefully, you know, hopefully this is what you were looking for, and I'll make sure I submit this in time. All right, see you in class. Bye.